The King's Gambit. In a kingdom perched on the edge of the world, where rivers flowed like molten silver and mountains touched the heavens, there lived a king. His name was Trump, a man who, like the sun at dawn, commanded the sky itself. His hair, golden and fierce, fluttered like a banner in the wind, and his voice, when it boomed, made the trees tremble. Now this king had never been content with simply ruling. His eyes always sought the horizon, yearning for more, for something beyond the known. He was not born of noble blood, but a fire burned within him, a fire that no one could snuff out. He built his kingdom from the dust, raised walls that touched the clouds, and with each stone he whispered, "I can make this world mine." And make it his he did. His halls glittered with treasures, his people clamored for his favor, and yet the crown was heavy. For while the kingdom sparkled with gold, it shimmered with cracks beneath the surface. Not all were loyal, and not all were content. Rumors stirred in the dark corners of the realm, whispers of discontent. His name, once chanted in adoration, was now spoken in fear, in suspicion. But King Trump, ever the gambler, did not fear what others feared. He reveled in it. The more the storm raged outside his castle walls, the more he built his empire brick by brick. "They will see," he said, as he stared into the distance. "They will all see who the true ruler is, and they will bow before me." One day a messenger arrived at the king's court, breathless and trembling. "My king," he gasped, "there is a challenge from the other kingdoms. They say you are too bold, too loud, too dangerous. They demand a duel for the crown." The king laughed, a deep, booming sound that echoed through the great halls. "A duel?" he said, as if the very idea was beneath him. "Tell them I don't need to duel. I've already won. My empire speaks for itself." But the messenger insisted. "They say the storm you have stirred cannot be ignored. A reckoning is coming. They are gathering their forces." King Trump's eyes gleamed, sharper than ever. He stood from his throne, adjusting his regal cloak. "Then let the storm come," he said. "I will face it head on. I will not bow to them. I will not shrink." As the other kingdoms closed in, the people of the land watched with bated breath. Some feared for their king. Others cheered, thrilled by the spectacle of it all. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. King Trump, however, stood taller, his confidence like a mountain against the churning sea of challengers. The duel, when it came, was not one of swords or shields. It was a contest of wills, of defiance. The other kings and queens, wise in their years, tried to break him with words. They called him reckless, impulsive, and selfish. They said his reign had brought only division, only chaos. But King Trump, standing on the battlefield, his voice as loud as thunder, responded, "I will do what no one else dares. I will break all the rules and rebuild them in my own image. The world will follow me, or it will be left behind." And so, in the midst of the greatest battle the kingdom had ever known, King Trump stood alone. His enemies faltered. They were unaccustomed to such fierce, unrelenting resolve. They could not break him with words, with shame, or with fear. The storm raged, but he did not falter. He never did. He had built his empire not with care, but with bravado. And that was the difference. In the end, the crown remained on his head. But the kingdom, it was no longer the glittering paradise it had once been. The land was scarred, the people divided. The king had won, but the victory was not as sweet as he had imagined. For in the end, the kingdom he ruled was built not just with gold, but with the power of his own myth. And as the sun set on his reign, the king stood tall, his golden hair shimmering, knowing that though the storm had passed, the true test had just begun. The world had seen his power, but would it remember his name?